pursuit. This truth is often missed in a world that constantly demands action, noise, performance, and results. People chase love like a prize to be won, thinking that the more they try, the more they push, the more likely they are to gain someone's heart. But true connection, lasting connection, begins with an energy that is quiet, grounded, and unshakable. Inner stillness is not a passive state, it is a powerful and active form of presence. It is being so rooted in your own self, awareness that you no longer need to grasp or beg for love, because your presence radiates it naturally. When you are still inside, your emotions do not dominate your decisions, your insecurities do not leak into your interactions, and your spirit remains unbothered by temporary reactions or moods of others. This makes you magnetic because stillness is rare, and it signals something deeper than words ever could. People who operate from inner stillness are not trying to impress, they are expressing who they are. Their words have weight, their silences have meaning, and their attention feels like a gift. There is a calm strength in them that others feel safe around, and safety is the foundation of lasting love. The moment you stop trying to perform for love and start embodying your peace, you no longer chase, you attract. Stillness teaches you that you do not need to control someone else's mind or emotions to feel loved. You learn to let go of the need to be constantly validated or reassured. You begin to see that love that needs to be forced is not love that will last. Real love flows towards stillness because the heart recognizes balance. It is not pulled in by chaos, it seeks shelter in calm. This inner stillness is developed through reflection, emotional discipline, spiritual grounding, and self-acceptance. You begin to detach from your compulsive need to always fix things, explain things, or prove your worth. You no longer fall into the traps of overreacting to someone's silence, or trying to decode every message, or becoming anxious when things don't feel certain. Because you are certain of who you are grounded in your own truth. When you show up in a relationship with that kind of centered energy, you give the other person space to rest, not tension to escape. You stop becoming a source of emotional pressure and instead become a source of peace. The kind of peace that a man wants to return to, not run away from. Inner stillness is also the ability to hold space for another without judgment, without needing to fix them, without needing to rush anything. When you're still inside, your love is not based on impulse, but on insight. You start recognizing that love is not about intensity, it is about consistency. And consistency is only possible when your inner world is not constantly being shaken by every small thing. Love thrives when it feels stable, and stability begins with stillness. Even when challenges come up, your response is not to panic, but to pause. You do not act from fear, but from clarity. That presence, that calmness, allows the other person to be seen, to be heard, and to feel safe enough to open more deeply. This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or avoid vulnerability. Quite the opposite. Stillness allows you to feel everything fully without being consumed by it. You can cry without shame, speak your truth without blame, and love without losing yourself. That's what makes it powerful. It brings maturity into love, it brings depth, it brings emotional intelligence, which is what separates fleeting attraction from lifelong connection. When a man senses that a woman knows who she is, that she isn't desperate for attention, that she isn't shaken by insecurity, and that she doesn't need him to complete her, but simply desires to share her journey with him, that changes everything. Inner stillness changes the dynamic. Suddenly, love is not about getting, but about giving, not giving to be praised or needed, but giving from overflow. You are not reaching out from emptiness, but offering from wholeness. You're not trying to escape loneliness by being with someone. You're inviting them to share in your already full life, and that is irresistible. There is something deeply attractive about someone who knows how to be alone and yet chooses connection, not out of need, but out of truth. Stillness is where clarity lies. It's where you begin to see clearly what kind of love you want, what kind of relationship you deserve, and what patterns you are ready to break. It helps you walk away from unhealthy attachments and creates space for real, sacred bonds. It is not lazy or disconnected. It is deeply aware. It listens before it speaks. It responds instead of reacting. It feels deeply, but carries wisdom with that feeling. When you embody this energy, you begin to draw people toward you who are aligned with your spirit, not just your appearance or charm. You stop entertaining chaos. You stop settling for inconsistency. You start recognizing that true love cannot grow in noise, but only in peace. So if you want a love that lasts, stop chasing it on the outside. Start cultivating it on the inside. Sit with yourself. Heal what needs healing. Let go of who you think you need to be and return to who you really are. The most powerful version of you isn't the loudest, the most dramatic, or the most desirable by the world's standards. It's the you that knows how to be still. That stillness will change how you love, how you communicate, how you attract, and how you connect. It's not just about making him love you forever. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need to be loved to feel complete, but who is loved because of that completeness. That is the secret. That is the path. That is what turns temporary love into timeless connection, and it all begins, not by chasing, but by becoming still. Presence is more powerful than perfection. In a world where so many people are constantly trying to be liked, to be impressive, to be flawless in how they look, talk, and act, the power of true presence is often overlooked. But the truth is, it's not the perfectly dressed, perfectly spoken, perfectly planned moments that make someone fall deeply in love. It's the moments where you are fully there, completely in the moment, fully engaged, emotionally available, and spiritually open. That is presence, and presence speaks louder than beauty, louder than charm, louder than even the best rehearsed words. When you are truly present, people feel it. They feel seen, heard, and understood. They feel your attention as something rare and valuable. That's what leaves a lasting impression, not perfection. Perfection creates pressure. It creates walls, masks, and distance. When someone is always trying to be perfect, they are performing, not connecting. It becomes about image, not intimacy. But presence, real presence, creates safety. It invites the other person to lower their guard, to open up, to trust. Because presence says, I'm here with you, not to impress you, not to gain something, just to be with you. And in relationships, that is what people crave most. Not someone who's always polished and calculated, but someone who's real, grounded, and willing to fully engage with the moment. That's what builds trust. That's what builds connection. That's what builds love that doesn't fade when the surface changes. Presence requires that you silence the noise in your mind, that you stop anticipating what to say next or how to appear more likable, and that you start truly listening. Not just to words, but to emotion, to energy, to body language, to what is being felt underneath what is being said. When you're present, you notice more, you respond with more depth, you hold space for another human being in a way that makes them feel respected and valued. You're not multitasking, you're not half in and half out, you're there, and that kind of presence can be felt even in silence, especially in silence. This is why presence is remembered long after perfection is forgotten. You don't remember every compliment someone gave you, but you remember how they made you feel. You remember how they looked into your eyes without distraction. You remember the way they stayed with you in a difficult moment, not trying to fix it or avoid it, just being with you. That stays in the heart because presence is a gift. It's an offering of your time, your focus, your awareness, and it tells the other person, you matter enough to have my full attention. That kind of energy is magnetic. Presence also reveals authenticity. When you're present, you're not hiding behind a script or a persona. You're simply being you, and that gives the other person permission to be themselves too. It dissolves the need for pretense. It allows real intimacy to grow. It shows confidence without arrogance. It shows vulnerability without fear. and it communicates something more powerful than any perfect gesture ever could. It says, "I'm not here to perform love, I'm here to live it." In contrast, when someone is obsessed with being perfect, they become disconnected. They are so focused on how they are being perceived that they miss what's actually happening. They miss the emotions in the room. They miss the little moments that build closeness. They become tense, self-conscious, and overly concerned with approval. That energy makes it hard for anyone to feel relaxed around them, because the more someone tries to be perfect, the more they become unrelatable. People connect through shared imperfections, through realness, not through unreachable standards. Presence, on the other hand, is deeply human. It brings warmth, depth, and honesty. It makes space for laughter, for awkwardness, for emotions that don't always make sense but still matter. It allows for silence without discomfort and conversation without pressure. It gives the other person the experience of being with someone who is emotionally available, not just physically there, but mentally and spiritually engaged. And that is rare, that is beautiful, that is what people remember and fall in love with. To cultivate presence, you have to practice awareness. That means slowing down, being conscious of your thoughts and feelings, noticing when your mind is drifting, and gently bringing it back. It means putting away distractions when you're with someone and truly giving them your time. It means breathing through anxiety instead of letting it control you. It means listening to understand, not to reply. It means letting go of trying to impress and choosing instead to express, not with effort, but with honesty. Presence also requires emotional strength. It means being willing to sit with discomfort, to stay open in moments where you want to withdraw, to remain kind when your ego wants to defend. It means staying grounded in your body, in your truth, in your intention, not being pulled in 100 directions by fear, insecurity, or outside pressure, and the more you build that strength, the more powerful your presence becomes. Not forceful, but gentle and undeniable. The truth is, people don't fall in love with perfect. They fall in love with presence, with the way you look at them when you're not distracted, with the way you listen like their voice is the only sound in the world, with the way you stay when things get quiet or uncomfortable, with the way you show up, not just when things are easy, but when things are real. That's what makes someone feel truly loved. So if you want someone to love you forever, don't chase perfection. It's empty, it's tiring, and it's not sustainable. Instead, show up fully, be real, be attentive, be human, offer your presence like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. The moments you are fully present are the moments that build trust, deepen connection, and create memories that never fade. That is the foundation of enduring love. And it begins with the courage to stop performing and the wisdom to simply be there completely. Emotional clarity invites emotional safety. In any relationship, whether it's new or deeply rooted, one of the most essential elements that keeps love alive and growing is the feeling of safety. Safety doesn't mean the absence of conflict or discomfort. It means the presence of understanding, stability, and a clear emotional landscape. When someone feels emotionally safe with you, they let their guard down. They don't feel the need to hide, to protect themselves, or to constantly monitor how they speak or act. That safety is what allows love to move past the surface and deepen over time. And emotional safety begins with emotional clarity. Emotional clarity is the ability to understand what you are feeling, why you are feeling it, and how to express it with honesty and calmness. It's the inner maturity that allows you to process your emotions before projecting them onto someone else. It's the ability to sit with your feelings, name them, and then communicate them in a way that brings people closer rather than pushing them away. When you have emotional clarity, you become predictable in the best way, not boring, but stable. People know where they stand with you. You don't swing from warm to cold without explanation. You don't lash out because of confusion inside. You bring light instead of fog that makes others feel secure, respected, and more open to connect. When emotional clarity is missing, relationships become confusing. One moment there is affection, and the next moment distance. One day there is warmth, the next day silence. These emotional shifts leave people guessing, walking on eggshells, and eventually withdrawing. Because nobody can feel safe in uncertainty, but when someone knows that you're emotionally honest, that you don't hide your feelings behind games or drama, and that you'll speak your truth with calmness rather than chaos, they begin to relax around you. That emotional environment creates trust, and trust is the soil where lasting love grows. Emotional clarity also means taking responsibility for your own emotions. It means recognizing that your feelings are your own to understand and manage, not someone else's to fix. Instead of blaming others for your inner unrest, you take time to sit with your own thoughts and uncover what's truly going on beneath the surface. This gives you the power to respond instead of react. You're no longer at the mercy of every emotional wave. You develop the ability to pause, reflect, and choose your response with intention. That kind of presence is rare and powerful in relationships. It sets a tone of emotional maturity that invites deeper conversations, real connection, and lasting intimacy. When you communicate from emotional clarity, you are able to express both your needs and your boundaries with kindness and strength. You don't demand love, you invite it. You don't punish silence with withdrawal or games. You ask for openness. You don't manipulate to feel secure. You build security through your own emotional awareness. That balance changes the way love feels. It becomes a partnership rather than a performance. It becomes rooted in truth, not control. People often confuse emotional expression with emotional clarity. But just expressing emotions isn't enough if it's chaotic or unclear. Yelling, crying, or shutting down may all be forms of expression, but they don't build safety unless they are guided by self-awareness. Emotional clarity brings structure to emotional depth. It helps you show someone the map of your inner world rather than making them wander through the confusion of it. It helps you say things like, "I felt hurt when this happened, and I'd love for us to talk about it," instead of saying nothing and growing distant, or instead of exploding from built-up resentment. It helps you own your triggers and patterns and keep your heart open even while you're being honest. When someone sees that you are clear about how you feel and that you can share it without blame or fear, they start to trust not only you, but also their own feelings around you. They know they won't be judged or misunderstood. They know they can speak freely without risking emotional punishment. That mutual safety invites openness, vulnerability, and long-term emotional bonding. It becomes easier to solve problems, to grow together, and to stay close even in moments of tension. Because the emotional atmosphere is clean, not polluted with confusion, mixed signals, or emotional manipulation. Emotional clarity also gives you the wisdom to walk away when something is not aligned with your truth. It allows you to see clearly when a connection is not nurturing, not growing, or not based on mutual respect. Instead of clinging out of fear or reacting from insecurity, you are able to make decisions based on inner wisdom. That protects your peace and preserves your dignity, and the more emotionally clear you become, the more you attract people who are also grounded, self-aware, and emotionally available. To build emotional clarity, you must spend time in reflection. You must be honest with yourself about your fears, your desires, your past wounds, and your current patterns. You must learn how to pause when you are triggered and ask, "What am I really feeling right now? Where is this coming from? What do I need?" That level of self-inquiry leads to emotional strength, and that strength creates safety, not only for you but for the people you care about. It also helps to practice expressing your feelings in real time, rather than bottling them up or exaggerating them later. You can learn to say, "I feel a little anxious about this," or "I'm not sure how I feel, but I want to share it with you." These small moments of honesty build emotional bridges. They show that you are not afraid of your emotions, and you're not afraid to let someone into your process. That transparency is healing, it's attractive, it's magnetic, because it's real. When someone feels emotionally safe with you, they stop trying to protect themselves all the time. They begin to open up their inner world. They begin to rely on your presence as something steady. They begin to feel that being around you makes them more connected to themselves, not less, and that experience is unforgettable. That is what makes love last. Not intensity, not drama, not perfection, but the deep calm that comes from knowing someone is emotionally clear and available. So if you want someone to love you forever, become the kind of person who knows what they feel, why they feel it, and how to share it with grace. Become the kind of person who brings emotional sunlight to every interaction, who clears away the fog, who speaks with honesty, who listens with care, and who holds space for others to do the same. That is how love not only begins, but grows, deepens, and stays. Lasting love grows where authenticity is nurtured. Authenticity is the soil in which real connection takes root, where hearts recognize each other beyond appearances and beyond masks. When you show up as you are, without trying to become what you think the other person wants, you give love the chance to grow on truth rather than illusion. And when love is built on truth, it endures. Pretending can only go so far, performing can only last so long. Eventually, the real self will surface, and when it does, if the relationship was not built on authenticity, it begins to crumble. That's why being real from the start isn't a risk, it's a gift. It filters out the ones who are not aligned with your truth and makes space for the one who is. Authenticity means being honest not just with others, but with yourself. It means recognizing your values, your limits, your needs, and your flaws. It means being at peace with your humanness, not hiding your imperfections, but owning them, not trying to be perfect, but being consistent. It's not about oversharing everything, but about not pretending anything. It's about showing the world, and the person you love, who you truly are when the mask is off, when no one is watching, and when there's nothing left to prove. That kind of honesty is rare, and that's what makes it powerful. In a world full of filters and facades, authenticity becomes a magnet. It draws in those who are tired of fake smiles and shallow conversations. It draws in the ones who are looking for something real. To nurture authenticity, you must release the fear of rejection. Because often, the reason we hide who we are is that we think we won't be accepted. We believe that if someone sees our full truth, they'll walk away. But the paradox is this: the only love that will last is the one that embraces your full truth. So if someone cannot love the real you, that's not your loss, that's your protection. When you stand in your truth, you may lose people, but you will never lose what is meant for your soul. And the ones who do stay will stay for the right reasons. Not because of who they thought you were, but because of who you truly are. Authenticity invites depth. It allows conversations to move beyond the surface. It allows emotional intimacy to form. It allows for silence without discomfort and truth without judgment. When you are authentic, you become easier to trust, because people can feel when your words match your energy, when your actions align with your values, and when your presence feels real. That kind of integrity creates emotional safety. It says, "This is me, and you are free to be you." That invitation, that space for honesty, becomes the foundation of lasting love. Many relationships fall apart not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of truth. When people feel they have to hide parts of themselves just to be accepted, resentment grows, distance grows, the relationship becomes a stage, not a sanctuary. But when two people choose to be real, truly real, with each other, something sacred happens. There is freedom, there is trust, there is peace. You stop playing roles and start building something rooted in reality. You stop fearing rejection and start experiencing connection. Being authentic also means honoring your boundaries. It means saying no when something doesn't feel right. It means speaking up when something hurts. It means not shrinking yourself just to keep someone comfortable. And while this may scare some people away, it will draw the right people closer. Because the ones who are meant for you will not be threatened by your truth. They will be inspired by it. They will feel more at home, not less. Because they are looking for real, not for perfect. And you become real when you stop editing yourself for approval. In love, authenticity allows vulnerability, and vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage, it's the willingness to be seen, to be known, to be felt. It's letting someone into your fears, your dreams, your doubts, and your desires. It's trusting that you are enough as you are, and that you don't need to be anyone else to be loved. That kind of openness requires strength, but it also creates a bond that is unbreakable, because what starts in truth has the power to grow without fear. You must also give the other person permission to be authentic. This means not punishing honesty, not mocking vulnerability, and not trying to control how someone expresses themselves. It means creating a space where both people can be flawed, can be growing, can be human. Where mistakes are seen as moments of learning, not moments of failure. Where silence is not feared and emotions are not judged. That kind of space is where love breathes deeply. It is where love learns, adapts, forgives, and thrives. When you nurture authenticity in yourself, you start attracting others who do the same. Your energy becomes a reflection of truth. You stop needing to prove your worth and start embodying it. You no longer seek validation from outside because your inner world is whole. And that wholeness is beautiful. It makes you a partner, not a project. It makes you someone who brings peace into a room, someone who stands with presence, not performance. That is the kind of person someone wants to build a life with. Because that kind of presence is rare, trustworthy, and deeply comforting. Lasting love doesn't grow in performance. It grows in presence, in truth, in the quiet moments when two people can look at each other and say, I see you, I accept you, I choose you. And that kind of love cannot be forced. It cannot be manufactured. It must be allowed to unfold naturally, slowly, honestly. And that begins with the courage to be real, to be honest, to be raw, to show up with your soul in your hands and say, this is me, and I am not afraid to be seen. So if you want to be loved forever, don't become who you think they want. Become more of who you truly are. Show your truth, speak your heart, stand in your values, be honest about your journey, and trust that the one who is meant to walk with you will not be afraid of your light, your shadows, or your silence. They will see your authenticity as a home, not a challenge, and in that space, love will not only begin, it will remain. Because love built on truth does not fade, it deepens, it strengthens, and it stays.